Thank you, the research group DEMA and University Politécnica de Madrid, also the Costa Association and the CITE conference for inviting us to this conference, to this event. And I think it's really, really important. It's like the only path forward. Regenerative economy is the only way. So I think, well, Marta and I, we will be talking about the role of training and the business strategies also to face the challenge of circular economy and the city waste management, most specifically, through two of our projects in the Fundación Laboral de la Construcción. So first I'm going to be talking, presenting a little bit, oops, I don't know why. Okay, so I will be presenting our organization briefly. So we are a non-profit paritarian organization created by the National Collective Agreement in 1992. We are composed of our board is composed of 26 members on behalf of employers organizations like Comisiones Obreras and UGT, and 26 members on behalf of employers organizations like Confederación Nacional de la Construcción. Maybe I switched both. Mainly our goal is to guarantee services to workers and companies within the National Collective Agreement of the construction industry in the fields of employment, professional qualification, and health and safety. So we are involved in many international activities. We participate in networks and we organize mobilities, and we have also European projects which we carry out in many areas like energy efficiency, educational innovation, and the improvement of vocational and educational vet schemes. Sorry. So as you see, we are really now involved in many projects that are linked to circular economy, like city waste management and also now green growth, which and RCDE green, which we will be presenting. So mainly I'm going to be talking on my side on the current skills needs in construction related to circular economy. For context, the most recent policy about forward-looking skills in Europe is the New Skills Agenda, and it's a 5-year plan with 12 actions, which was launched in July 2020. And it establishes a set of indicators to improve educational schemes in Europe. So to summarize it, as shown by actions 4 and 6, European policy is increasingly favoring vocational and educational training and green transition. Any initiative that goes towards innovative vocational educational training and green transitions is being favored by European policy, by European financing also. So more specifically in the construction sector, skill demands are evolving, both in Europe and in Spanish context. These skills are evolving. The skill demands are evolving for many reasons. One of them is that there is a rise in green building construction and sustainable waste management. There are also regulatory changes concerning, for instance, material waste and pollutant emissions. And these have triggered new practices, no, and the adoption of technological advances. So workers need to learn new skills to work with innovative green materials also and new techniques, and they also have to acquire knowledge to know how to minimize waste production. So these are currently ongoing changes in skill demands. Other transformations that are also linked to these new circular economy policies for the construction industry is the fact that there are some there is the development of off-site manufacturing, for instance, or the retrofit of power plants. This is also going to require workforce from the construction sector, even though it's not directly the construction sector, but it will require all these retrofit activities, will require evolution from the part of the construction sector. So in this context, we are launching the Green Growth Project, which is an Erasmus Plus project, which belongs to this financing line that is called Cooperation for Innovation and Exchange of Good Practices. And it started at the beginning of this year. And it involves relevant stakeholders that are really are not all of the same kind of field of work. They come from training centers, institutes, business representatives, which I think it's a great way to address an issue that is cross-cutting, like circular economy, and is also an international topic, because all the green transition involves the planet, not just nations separately. So this is the approach we were taking. So actually what we want to do, what Green Growth proposes, is a set of results which are tailored. They were gonna be tailored to target groups, which are actually really different, but all play a role in the dissemination of circular economy practices in construction. So we can find trainers, also construction workers, construction SMEs, and vet centers. So what are the results that we are expecting with this project? We're expecting to create a roadmap for circular economy approach in construction, in the training delivery, which means actually introducing circular principles in the workshop organization, in vet training centers. We also are going to develop a MOOC, which will contribute to raise environmental awareness among teachers, among the trainers, and also give them specific knowledge about strategic circular economy areas. Moreover, we're going to develop a handbook which goes also in hand with this MOOC, and it proposes to pedagogical tools, to give pedagogical tools to trainers, and case studies and best practices, so they can apply this knowledge in their workshop delivery. And finally, we have an app which has a different target group and is more oriented towards SMEs and also blue collars in the construction industry. And this app is going to provide tips and also training on revalorization techniques, on, for instance, how to reuse high value materials and long-lasting materials that can be found in retrofit and reforms. So basically, we're trying to tackle a lot of things, and we're trying to keep in mind the most strategic areas. So this is a framework we are using, which is the United Nations Economic Commission for Education for Sustainable Development. It's a very wide framework, but we were willing to adapt it to the construction sector. And basically, I won't go too much into detail, but the main principles, which I think have been already addressed in many of the presentations, is just adopting a holistic approach, envisioning change, and also achieving transformation in the minds of the students, not trying to switch to another paradigm. And basically, so as I said, the project started at the beginning of this year. So we have more questions than answers, but we have some of the results of previous projects. and of course some needs analysis, which was done. And we're trying to answer some of the questions that I'm gonna be mentioning. And we're trying to keep in mind our target groups in this case, because we work in the field of vocational education. So we're not so much in the research area. And so keeping this in mind, we know that vet trainers are conveyors of these circular economy principles. And what we need to answer is, what are the main drivers of sustainable and circular economy among construction workers? What are the strategic areas to implement circularity in construction? In taking into account that this is an international project, so we want to know each country what are the strategic areas for their context, and for more specifically for vet centers. And also we want to know what are the main forward-looking skills to convey circular economy principles. No, what are the skills that are specifically going to be needed in the future? So we have some answers, and I think this comes up a lot in all of the presentations I've heard in this event, which I think is that environmental awareness is key, to have this consciousness of the connection we have with the natural systems, and how everything is connected. So there's a need to strengthen the connection between humans and nature, and be aware of the consequences, no, of our activity. There's also a need to enhance financing solutions. This is something that comes up a lot in many of the projects, in many of the projects fieldwork, and also to adopt maybe a more long-term approach to understand the cost effectiveness of circular economy solutions. This has to be also explained to students. They have to have maybe this consciousness about the cost effectiveness of circular economy. And even though it may be costly at the beginning, this is becoming more and more effective in the medium to long term, and even in the short term. So yes, and there are also well, some strategic areas that we have identified, although this is still working in progress. But for instance, highly recycled content, material passports, extension of service of the constructions, of the life of the constructions, selective demolition to enable reuse. These are some of the areas that have come up a lot in the fieldwork. And also, well, as this table from other project shows, in the end, sometimes there seems to be this idea that regulation is the basis and is the most important thing, but sometimes also environmental awareness is important. But thinking about blue collars and the workers on site, the waste management plan and the legislation shouldn't be so much emphasized as much as the more practical aspects, and the environmental awareness, and the identification of materials, the proper separation, these kinds of things, because we have this focus on legislation, and sometimes on day-to-day practices is not so operative. So I think for my part, this will be all, and Marta will continue with her case study more focused on Navarra.
I am from Pamplona, Well, my name is Marta Ruiz. I also work in la Fundación Laboral de la Construcción, but in Pamplona, because we have an office all over Spain, and Clara is in the main one, in the big one in Madrid. But here, but we have small fundaciones laborales in all the communities. So I'm going to talk today about one Interreg POCTEFA project that we are working in Navarra with, we are 5 partners. We are 3 partners from France, from Aquitania, and 3 partners from Navarra. From Aquitania, we have la Communauté Commune de Auvergne, is like a man community. And then we have a Novatec INEF, that is a Centro Technologique in France. Then in Navarra, we have GANIC, is a semi-public enterprise from the Navarra government in the area of the environment. And then we have a REAM, that is like a landfill. So this is a project. The name is RCDE Green, because we work in French and in Spanish. So maybe there are words in Spanish and in French, because we don't use English in this project. So RC is residuos de construcción. DE is déchets inertes. Y green, well, green because verde, no? Green. So the name is the Circular Economy of RCD as a strategy for adaptation to climate change. So why we are working in this project? We are working in this project because we were very interested in the economy, in the circular economy. We start talking with the government. And we see that in construction, we have a lot of lack of materials. And nowadays, sometimes there are more problems to searching new landfill sites. And also looking the new tendencies and the new way of construction, adding that the construction industry is the main consumer of materials, and 90% of the materials are inert. And the future problem of all these materials, what to do with them, we start working with the demolition, the construction and demolition waste. The principal idea in this project is to work with the companies in Navarra and in Aquitania in order to establishing a strategy for the valorization of this construction and demolition waste. Okay, we have this project is going to, it started last year in October 2019, and it's going to finish in 2022 in May. Okay, the principal idea of this project is to work in all the life cycle of the materials. Okay, starting from the society, working with the people, and thinking in this waste from the beginning of the construction, from the phase idea in the projects, then working in the design, in the supply chain, in the construction, in the deconstruction, in the transport, in the valorization, and in the final storage. So we want to work in all this life circle in different materials, in the legislation, in the education and training, in the technologies, and in the different incentives that here the government could give us in order to help us. So now we have already worked in the first action. That in this action we have developed studies and inventories and identifications of different requires around the construction and demolition waste. So we have analyzed the quantity of waste that we generate in order to know how we have to design the strategy. Okay, we have seen that from the 2020, from now to the 2030, to the 2030, the volume, it seems, is going to be more or less the same here in Navarra and in Aquitania also. So that gives us ideas of how to develop our work. We have also worked in inventory and characterization of potential spaces receiving recycled material. This is important because nowadays in Navarra, we valorizate 59% of the material. Meanwhile, in the Directive 2008-98, it says that we are supposed to valorize 70%. In whole Spain, this quantity is higher, is 75% in Spain. And in countries like Finland or Germany, they arrive to 85%. So we have a lot of work to do. Then we have analyzed the possibilities to use the construction and demolition waste. So we have been thinking where we can use them. So first, we see that most of the material that we generate comes from the concrete. And this one is easy to use it. But some plants produce recycled aggregate from mixed and ceramic materials. And this one, it's difficult to use it. So they have big storage of this material. And then some of them, they also produce bituminous material. This one is also easy to use it. So this, with all this information, with different studies, we arrived to analyze where we can use this material. So most of the uses nowadays, they are from rural roads. I'm going to pass and then I come back. From rural roads, from roads, from concretes and degraded areas. From roads, it's not so usual because this material, they don't have CE, so it's not so easy to use it. But and even for concrete. So nowadays with rural roads is the place where you can find more recycled aggregates, and in degraded areas also. Also we have worked. I'm sorry, I'm going to come back one. We have analyzed the situation where we are now, no? The requires that there are now, and why the quantity of validation is not as high as we would like, and we have seen that we have some problems with administration. Administration has a lack of control of the waste a little. We have seen that there is a lack of control. There is a lack of use of this material in their projects, in their tenders. So it's difficult to use it because they don't develop this way of uses. And And there are not many good practice. There are not many examples, so it's not very easy to show someone or to combine someone to use this. So that's why all these studies we have shared them in our web, that is www.rcdigreen.eu, because everything is going to be shared. So we are sharing everything as soon as we finish it. So now we are starting with the second action, where we are designing the strategies. So in this one, we want to work first one technical part a little more to design the prescription of the material and the recommendation for implementation this material in roads and in degraded spaces. And also we want to think and to give tools to talk about the construction, not about demolition. Okay. And at the end, we are designing and work in training, design training, because for us, like Clara said before, the people is important, and we work in this. So for us, it's important to work in the competencies and the training of of working with these materials with our workers. So after this, at the same time that we will work with these strategies, we are going to do 4 pilots experience. One, training more than 80 people, 80 persons in these materials. We are going to make a cycling road with a recycled aggregate. And we are going to restore a mining hole with the resection from the plants. And then we are going to do a life cycle analyze the first pilot experience, the one of the road. So like that, we think it will give us a lot of ideas of how we have to work with this material in order to be in order to reach that more people use it. And at the end, we are going to work a lot in the knowledge transfer and to show the results with the peoples, because we want to arrive to more than 25,000 people. So we are going to do a lot of conference, different sessions of information to arrive to everybody. So we are working in the circular economy now with one material, with one theme, but I think this project is going to give us a lot of information to go on with other materials in construction. So I think I finished.